A very good morning to all dignitaries. Soumya and Abhijit, are we ready? Yeah. A very good morning to all the dignitaries, distinguished faculties, past and present, all our speakers, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends. I welcome you all to this very solemn occasion with a very warm heart and a huge open arm, where our Department of History and our dear Delhi University completes a glorious century and looks proudly with a head held high towards an even glorious future. Now I request Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh, Dean Research, Humanities and Social Science, University of Delhi, and our Head of the Department and Dean of Faculty of Social Sciences, Professor Seema Bawa, and Professor Prabhu P. Mahapatra of our very own department to please grace the stage. Big round of applause for them, guys. Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh is currently the Dean Research, Humanities and Social Sciences at the University of Delhi and a senior professor in the Department of Political Science, University of Delhi. He has been a visiting fellow professor in the universities in India and abroad. His areas of specialization in teaching and research are in the domain of state, democracy, constitutionalism, law and politics, social movements and rights and political institutions. His recent co-authored book, The Election Commission of India, Institutionalizing Democratic Uncertainties, was published by Oxford University Press in Delhi in 2019. His earlier books are Human Rights and Peace, Ideas, Laws, Institutions and Movement, edited by, it's an edited volume published by Sage in 2009, and various different books. So I welcome you, sir, to this very solemn occasion. In addition, his research articles have appeared in several national and international Scopus Index journals. Now, our very own head of the department. Professor Seema Bawa is currently the Dean of Social Sciences and head of the History Department at the University of Delhi. She specializes in history of South Asian art, culture. Books written by her includes the recently published Locating Pleasures in Indian History, Bloomsbury publication, and it was published in 2021. In addition, she has also, to her credit, works like Gods, Men and Women, Gender, Sexuality in Early Indian Art and Religion, and Art of Chamba Valley, AD 1700 to AD 1300. She was the recipient of the very prestigious Dad Fellowship to read at the University of Bonn. She has recently researched narrative depiction of Ramayana and visual hagiographies of Sanchi and is currently working on Gupta and post-Gupta Shaivism in northern India. In addition, she has also curated shows including the decorated cow, Siddharth and Shatradu, feminine sensibilities in Indian art for Lalit Kala. Now, our very dear Prabhu sir, Professor Prabhu Prasad Mahapatra, he is currently the professor at the Department of History, University of Delhi. He completed his PhD from Jawaharlal Nehru University in the year 1990. He has been a postdoctoral fellow at Clara International Institute of Social History, Amsterdam, and the International Institute of Asian Studies in Leiden and Research. He has also been a visiting fellow at V.V. Giri National Labour Institute from 1998 to 2002 and a program in agrarian studies in Yale University from 1993 to 94. He has been a fellow at the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library from 1989 to 1993. His works include Labour Matters Towards Global History, co-edited by Marcel van der Linden in 2009, and his forthcoming book titled Ecology, Economy and Migration, A History of Jharkhand Region from 1880 to 1950. The articles and chapters include dialogues across borders, co-authored by Chitra Joshi and Rana P. Bihal, and In the Road, which is another book, On the Road to the Global Labor History, edited. It's an edited volume, Karl Heinz Roth, in 2018. Now, I would like Professor Seema Bawa to please deliver the welcome address. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us here, and very warm welcome to all of you to the Department of History. Faculty members who are here, students, all the faculty members from the colleges, and our dear guests. But most of all, I'd like to welcome Professor Ujjwal Singh, who I consider a co-opted member of our department. He's a historian amongst political scientists, I would so assume. And I was lucky enough that we did coursework together for our MPhil. So he only did coursework in our department, which I'm sure he's going to talk about his experience. But this is indeed a historic occasion, because 100 years of the department and our students, volunteers have been working for about a year to unearth the history of the history department, which I did not realize did not exist till recently. So they've worked in the archives and found out certain facts which I will place before you about the history of our department. As a student of history, I've been, part of the history department as an undergraduate and then a postgraduate and then a research and then as faculty for 37 years. And I can imagine for people who've been here longer, so many of them, they would remember the history very much more than I would ever do. But it is a proud moment for all of us to be associated with a department that was one of the founding departments of the university. And if I may tell you, there'll be a PPT that'll be running behind me where you will be able to see some of the images that we've been able to retrieve and collate of the past achievements and landmarks from our department, and also later on we'll also be showing you a PPT of the vast range and array of publications, as many as we could collate, and as many were available on the net or physically, which we've just created a section for the publications of our faculty over 1 century. And I do hope that you will all go and have a look at this section. But we've also put it up as a PPT for you to see. 100 years of publications by the history department. If I may introduce the department to you, an act that created the University of Delhi on 1st May 1922 gave a major share of administrative and teaching to representatives from colleges. Thus, discipline of history, or being an independent discipline to be taught in the university, its teaching and faculty were largely concentrated in the colleges. For the next 20 years, Delhi University was virtually the sum total of its small, community of faculty drawn from colleges such as St. Stephen's, Hindu and Ramjas, where history was taught in the intermediate and BA levels, at the intermediate and the BA levels. Philip Norton Truchard Young, widely known as Reverend P.N.F. Young, who also served as a missionary and vice principal of St. Stephen's College, became a pioneering figure in teaching of history. He was appointed as the first head of the department with the status of reader in history. He taught European history mainly, along with K.R. Kanungo, who was a reader in Indian history. The other pioneers who served as the earliest teaching faculties of the department were Maulvi Abdur Rahman, Maulvi Fazil, and Munshi Fazil. And then we also have R.S. Kapran, F.F. Monk, Ganpat Rai, P.J. Scott, S.K. Sen, who later became the Vice Chancellor, also M.S. Shahni, and Sharp. Each of these members were duly recognized as a teacher of both the individual college as well as the Department of History per se. The year 1923 is also very important because it saw the first batch of MA graduates in history from St. Stephen's College, affiliated as it was. It was also called the Department of History. And the three people who graduated from MA were Mushtaq Ahmad, Shriram Sharma, and Shiv Prasad. As the department was to witness, the department was a witness to the changing political situation and intensifying unrest under the British, and awareness of this was reflected in papers of courses taught. Insertion of notes on enhancing the idea of great movements, their causes and effects were among those highly recommended syllabi in the history department, or as history as a discipline. The answer scripts of master's courses were closely examined by external examiners. The year 1925 saw the presence of stalwart historians such as Jadunath Sarkar and British historian H.I.O. Garrett and Rushworth William as examiners. So we've got nice records in very nice cursive writing showing us that these people were examiners, and their comments on the dissertations and the answer sheets is very telling about the standards of the Delhi University MA program. Renowned historian T.G.P. Spear, popularly known as Percival Spear, with research interests in modern European and Indian history, was associated with the department in 1928 while teaching at St. Stephen's College, and assumed the responsibility of the head of the department during the years 1934 to 1936. His works were among the earliest contributions of Oxford researchers on the history of India after Vincent Smith. It was during the long stewardship of Sir Maurice Squire, Vice Chancellor from 1939 to 1950, that the university started assuming something of its present shape. The Delhi University Act was amended to provide a 3-year honours course. Professorial chairs were instituted in economics, history, physics, and chemistry, and most teaching of MA was shifted to the departments. The Department of History and Economics were the two basic social science departments that date back to the 1930s. The first holder of the chair in history was Ishtaq Hussain Qureshi, the distinguished historian of medieval history who moved from St. Stephen's College to preside over the university department while also holding the position of the Dean of Faculty of Arts. It used to be one Faculty of Arts, and then it came under, it was bifurcated. The late 1940s saw scholars like Bisheshwar Prasad, modern history, and Paramatma Sharan, the well-known historian of 13th to 15th centuries, who joined the department after obtaining a PhD from the University of London. With the introduction of PhD program as a solely research-oriented course by the university in 1944, the department became a breeding ground for budding scholars and future efficient historians from all around the world. The department's first 2 PhD degrees were awarded in 1951, and for the last 72 years we've been awarding degrees of PhD. Later in the year 1958, the Department of History, along with Political Science and African Studies, were officially transferred to the Faculty of Social Sciences. The early 1950s saw the beginnings of the practice of the department of inviting distinguished teachers from the university's constituent colleges to become to lecture for postgraduate colleges. Notable among these were K.M. Ashraf from Kirurimal, who was a major scholar of social history of medieval India, and Muhammad Amin, who was from St. Stephen's College, who regularly taught 16th to 18th century India from 1949 to 1990. The major event in the department in the early 1960s was the inclusion of and the induction of Romila Thapar, who moved from Kurukshetra University, I think, to Delhi University from 1964 to 72, and who emerged as one of the major historians of ancient India while before shifting to JNU. The next big expansion of the department took place in the 1960s and early 1970s, when scholars of the stature of B.B. Mishra, modern Indian history, K.S. Lal in medieval history, R. Sharma in ancient history, and Parthsarthi Gupta in history of England and Europe, and of course Shumit Sarkar of modern India moved from Patna, Allahabad, Kolkata to strengthen the teaching and research in history at the Department of History, Delhi University. Other scholars were also inducted during this period. We have Arun Shuklaji, R.L. Shukla, D.N. Char, Dilip Chakravarti, K.M. Shrimali, Suhas Chakravarti, Aparna Basu, Devavati in the 1980s, and there was further expansion of the department with historians of the stature of Gyanendra Pandey and Shahid Amin, who joined our ranks recently. Prominent historians such as Venkat Subramanyam, Vasudev Chatterjee, Keshavan Veluthat, Naranjot Leri, Upinder Singh, Artish Thakran, Arup Banerjee, Anshu Malhotra, Jafri Saab, and of course joined and have also retired from the department. We have had the sad loss of Dr. Bisnoy Pati, a prolific scholar of international repute and a dearly loved colleague and student. Of course, Professor Sunil Kumar and Professor Sahu also we lost, unfortunately, just before their retirement, and we really miss them at this juncture. An account we've also had a number of other scholars and teachers such as Uma Chakravarti, P.S. Devedi, Harbans Mukhya, Dilip Simeon, G.C. Baker, Salim Kidwai, Chitra Joshi, Tonika Sarkar, Shiv Shankar Menon, Vijay Singh, Tripta Vahi, Anil Sethi, Shumit Guha, Manoj Sinha, Indrani Chatterjee, Kumkum Roy, Partho Datta, Arunima, V.K. Jain, Rana Behel, and Firdaus Anwar, amongst others, who've come and taught at our department, and really, they've inspired so many students and so much scholarship in their wake. We cannot list out all who have been associated with the department, though we would have loved to, because you would all kill me. Because we would go on and on, because we've had so many scholars who've been associated with us, and all of them are legendary, and our students who graduated to teach in some of the world's most powerful academic institutions in the world, whose love for the discipline went so far to claim, and we claim, we also have people like Ujjwal and Ranveer Singh ji, who we've co-opted into the department from other disciplines, such as political science. One of the major things that we've done in our department is to work on syllabi, and our syllabi has been one of the pioneering projects which has been, I won't say copied, but which has inspired many other syllabi of other universities in Delhi and otherwise. नागेंद्र जी, आप बिल्कुल प्रोजेक्टर के सामने हैं, जरा उधर हो जाइए. Thank you. So, major and systematic revisions of syllabi took place in early 1970s and then again in 1980s when the teaching in areas other than India, Europe, China, Japan, in terms of areas and newer concerns on political thought, social history, peasant movements were framed and their scholarship around them strengthened. It needs stressing that the quality of postgraduate teaching in history, for which our department was known, depended critically on a very strong base that newer redesigned courses and first-rate teaching that was imported to our numerous undergraduate colleges and through our numerous undergraduate colleges. It was this synthesis between a strong basic training in history and the inculcation of research-oriented graduate studies that won our students international recognition, as is evidenced from the admission of our alumni for advanced research and teaching in leading universities of India, UK and USA. One of the outstanding features of the Department of History has always been its scholastic plurality. Its faculty members have received their academic training from around the globe. They have all written different kinds of histories and follow their own political commitments, but have all been devoted single-mindedly to the discipline. Although the faculty does not conform to a particular research methodology, this plurality is the strength of our department. And this academic interest is sustained and reproduced through debate and discussion, which we pursue through well-ingrained democratic impulses. We are richer in the range of our courses and sharper in the debate and our political commitments from the need to locate our intellectual positions cogently and which is respectful of plurality. All this even when we argue passionately and vehemently within ourselves and with others. The Department of History is now a UGC-sponsored Center for Advanced Studies, and this signature, talks about our past and our aspirations. This is a center of learning, of reproduction of knowledge and debate, and in foregrounding history, we have always been aware of the multiplicity amongst our students to whom we owe the responsibility of providing the finest possible program in the teaching and learning of our discipline. And I would like to point out that, our students are really our strength. They've always been, and even today I see that they've been, their commitment to this program has also shown how deeply committed they are to the department and how proud they are to belong to the centennial year. You guys are 100 years of the department. You will be passing out in the 100th year of the department. Imagine that. It's just something that boggles the mind. One thinks about all the stalwarts who you are following. And I hope that you will make a name for yourselves in this galaxy of historians. And I really, really hope that 20 years from now, one of you will be standing here and saying 120 years of the department. Thank you.
Now I would like to request Professor Prabhu Mahapatra to please felicitate both of our very dear guests. Sir, please, sir. I would like Professor Ujjwal Kumar Singh to please come and provide his address. Please, sir, please.
Please some light here.
So, there are numerous friends over here. I could see Thakuranji, and we were together here when you dissented over there. That dissent is important even today in Academic Council. Jaffrey ji is here, senior colleague. Badri ji as a friend. My first history teacher, who literally showed me how to look at documents and showed me how to enter archive, was Prabhu Mahapatra, and I owe it to you, sir. To the extent that when I saw the minutes written in cursive handwriting, 1837, and among others, Macaulay's sign was there. I was very excited, kept it. I think, sir, I showed it to you. Is this Macaulay who's signing? And as usual, Prabhu would just say, Ujjwal, these are documents. But I thought, like, I'm actually looking at Macaulay and his handwriting. So, literally from that point, what is home political, different categories in archives. So I had to go back to probably every time to read archive, know archive. And so I've done archival work, and thank you so much, Prabhu. I have to acknowledge that. And I don't think you knew that I was your batchmate. You realize now. So in the sense, see, nothing matters until you have evidence. And I don't think Seema would have evidence, but I have evidence. Because when you do coursework, you don't get a statement like this. You actually ask for statement. And those who complete the MPhil or PhD, they don't get a certificate to this effect. And this is signed by, and I asked because I didn't know the name. I asked, it's Prithvipal Bhatia, it's 8/1/1992, certifying that I was a student of MPhil in 1992-92, and I did 3 courses: historian craft, recent trends, reading primary sources. If you remember, Sunil Kumar and Gandhi Pandey were the conveners, and they asked us to read original source from Gandhi on Champaran. And like any other student, I was also evasive because you don't really read everything for the class. But these people were very tough taskmasters. They would ask you to sit in half a round circle. And
Jafri sir was also there in the primary source.
Which he doesn't remember.
Difficult things one shouldn't remember, so easier things. And everyone was supposed to respond.
Because I was supposed to coordinate with the Al-Biruni's India, which was a tough text, and people used to avoid that. So
I cleared Urdu exams, though I don't know. So you know this team. I was supposed to do that. So, and then third problem in historical study of society and culture. And remember, we had lectures from Aparna Basu and Sumit Sarkar and others on. I remember Collingwood. We were told that point of time. So history is not only facts, and so those training sessions were important. Research methods sessions were important. And then finally, my supervisor was generous enough to free me because I got admission through his recommendation also, Gandhi Pandey, to SOAS to pursue research on prisons. Actually, I had this large project, state and society in comparative perspective, democracy and authoritarianism, on which later Isa Jalal's book came up. So I landed up doing work on political prisoners, and I think I still believe it's pretty precious work. It's a conference of communities. There's a small set of community also called political prisoners who exist, who live, and one is really proud that many of them have read political prisoners in India. Actually writing from prison, they called for the book and they read. Nowadays, I don't know whether such books are actually given to the prisoners or not, but Arun Ferreira was in prison. You can Google now, right now over here, he has got every distillation, he will have at least 50 citation of this book. So one is proud that political prisoners do read. It's not that they don't read, so you're part of a community as such. And so all my friends over here, Seema, Gitanjali is not here, batchmate, you know. Avdin Charan was there, Ravikant was there, and friends over here, Vijay Lakshmi ji and Jaya Tyagi and others, and all young ones. So I see a very confident department. It's a very, very confident department which speaks through publications. And I know as a Dean Humanities Social Science Research that the citation from this department, scopus index from this department is very high. That's kind of saving humanities and social sciences. So history department speaks through its own work, through publication, and that's what matters. I mean, I don't know whether you, but I'm also apprehensive. Things are changing, and to that extent, probably history is at the forefront in changes. And through that, through these challenges, how we are able to negotiate that. So every initiative which comes, I'm happy to take a turn around and look at it and look from my own perspective. So Delhi City announced partition archive. Initially there was apprehension, but fine. Germany has the how. They have all those archives on what happened to Nazi, to Jews over there. So they have preserved. Why can't we have partition archives? So everything which comes up, if we start looking from our viewpoint, we'll follow that. And probably the difficult part is how history department should be part of that partition archive. Because see the notification, historians are not there. It is something domain of historians as such. So history department will do partition archive. If nobody is going to do that, we'll do that. Germans have done it, other societies have done it, we can do that. So every initiative which comes, new education policy, I look at from the constitutional viewpoint, all the ideas which have been talked about. I'm not going to abandon, I'm going to actually appropriate, imbibe all those values and turn it around in terms of making our own understanding richer, both historical past and the present. It's not that we haven't made mistakes, there are always corrections in history. And I won't dare speak on history because whatever my training is insufficient and kind of galaxy which is sitting over here. But I'm interested in different constitutional frameworks which India had and different constitutional texts. And you're all aware there was a constitution written by M.N. Roy, constitution written by pseudonym by Ramprasad Bismil, Hindustan Social Revolutionary Association, 1925 of a constitution. You had Gandhi constitution that we are all aware of. There was constitution from Manipur, there was constitution from Jammu Kashmir, there was constitution from Travancore. So you had different constitutional traditions in India, and more. Socialists had and Hindu Mahasabha had. And if you look at the text, it's not that they were very different. It's not that they were very different. But one part of this text, which is called Revolutionary by H.S.R. R.A., 1925. Let me just read one part of it, and then I'll come to something which I want to bring before you. It's something which reverberates in the contemporary times. A few words, this is from the text, clause 20. A few words more about terrorism and anarchism. These are two words are playing the most mischievous part in India today. I told you it's 1925, but if I hadn't told you 1925, then it's exactly what's happening today. They have been invariably misapplied whenever any reference to revolution arises to be made, because it is so very convenient to denounce the revolutionary under that name. The Indian revolutionaries are neither terrorists nor anarchists. They never aim at spreading anarchy in their own land, therefore can they never be properly be called anarchists. Terrorism is never their object, and they cannot be called terrorists. For terrorism's sake, although they may at times resort to this method as a very effective means of retaliation. The present government, the British government, exists simply because the foreigners have successfully been able to terrorize the Indian people. The Indian people do not love the English masters, they do not want them to be here, but they do help the Britishers simply because they are terribly afraid of them. And this very fear resists the Indians from extending their use the term revolutionary terrorists. It was probably better to avoid that term terrorists along with the revolutionaries. They were revolutionaries. I did this mistake. I accept the mistake and I'd like to revise that mistake and correct it that way. So this is Bhagat Singh and Ramprasad Bismil and Chandrasekhar Azad speaking for themselves, right? So there's no harm in acknowledging something which probably, given the time of scholars, should be acknowledged. The best of books written Hindi text, the NCERT textbooks, brilliant, amazing. I mean, you may find it thorough in terms of its depth, evidence, understanding, but also in terms of perspective. However, having said that, this is class 10. It very clearly says nations are modern construct. We know that the schools of thought which will believe it's not exactly the same. That's one school of thought. Modernist is one school of thought. And there are other schools of thought. They're perennialists, they're primordialists, they're modernists, and within that there are different shades. So, idea is we need to recognize different voices, acknowledge it. I know writing is so difficult, and especially textbook writing is so challenging. But if the best of mind, if they cannot bring variety, then that's a problem. So, and it's there. So I just carry it because I carry all my evidences if I speak. So you can go through the preface, you can go through, of this book, very clearly written over here. The sense of belonging to a nation developed over a period of time, and then it goes on when nation comes into existence. But what I wanted to bring before you, which all I'm saying is we need to be cautious, we need to be aware that there are many, many different traditions, and how we're going to acknowledge them. Probably, and there let me come in as a political scientist, we have gone through texts and numerous texts. The most difficult task was to write one text for the entire country. I mean, for one country, which is so diverse, and then you arrive at one text, which is not only a text which will govern everyone, but which will enshrine the values which different set of people, not for the time when it was written, but for future it was written. And that's the Constitution of India. It's enormously difficult thing to do that, right? Congress was that time, Muslim League said Congress is Hindu party. Same what Britishers said. It's party of the Hindus, right? Today there's a question mark, what was the character of the Congress? Congress never claimed it was Hindu party. Congress claimed it was party of the entire India. That debates and debates. There were members from Hindu Mahasabha who were represented through Congress ticket, including Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, right? So there were viewpoints over there, though Congress was directly not represented, Hindu Mahasabha was directly not represented, but the viewpoints were there. Within Congress also they were there, we know that. How they were able to bring together the right wing and the left wing and come with a master document. So if you have to look at the text of a revolutionary text, just please simply go back to the directive principles. See Article 39. The wealth of the country has to be utilized for the people of this country. There can't be any major documentary evidence, which Indian Constitution talks about. We are still in a process of defending the values which, decades back were enshrined in the Constitution. How was it done? Now, again, a historian, but historian of constitutional history, which I don't think people in history department read, and it won't come under this galaxy. Political scientists read, but now there's a revisionist theory on constitution making, which question the celebratory mode of Indian Constitution. I'm one of those who still believe in that celebratory mode of Indian Constitution and that writing. His name is Granville Austin, American scholar, not a trained historian, administrator, but wrote this classic text, Indian Constitution, Cornerstone of a Nation. And what he brings to us, the Indianness of Indian Constitution. That's what he calls. In fact, he calls what is Indianness of the Indian Constitution. Of course, we all know, we always claim that we should write our own constitution. Indians will write their own constitution, they will decide their own fate. But the method which he identified in the constitution making process, there were thousands of amendments which were proposed, there was a whip at that point of time. There were layers and layers of discussion, from Canning Lane discussion to assembly discussion to constituent assembly discussion. It also acted as a provincial assembly. It was making laws also. Over 2,000 laws it made, apart from framing the constitution. Then the same people were ruling as a cabinet. All members of cabinet, central cabinet, were part of constituent assembly. Likewise, chief ministers contributed to that. And there were huge differences on issue of, say, language, Munshi Iyengar formula. And what he says, so let me just bring this part, and I won't take you much time, but one needs to re-emphasize writing of a text and how the art of writing, which brings in different viewpoints, incorporates through what he calls two things. He says: India's original contribution, decision making by consensus, and what he says, principle of accommodation, not compromise. He says compromise is the one when you actually somewhere give up certain aspects, certain belief system which you believe is valuable, you shed those things and then come together. He says it didn't happen. In fact, the accommodation principle worked in a manner that the valuable aspect of two separate, apparently completely contradictory principles, they were brought together. India, that is Bharat, a union of states. I mean, see, talking to students makes you very nervous. They are very thorough. So on Bharat, I read pieces, and my sources are transparent. I keep on repeating. You can Google it now. Samaj, there's a whole article on Bharat. There's a debate in this department on Bharat. There was debate where one of our colleagues wrote over here, and the response came from Canada. And it's a very strong, behas. I followed all those. And yesterday also I was giving a talk, and someone, a very senior colleague, said, "Sir, ab naam badal dijiye Bharat. Bas Bharat rehne dijiye." So nobody has given a Bharat. Bharat belongs to us, right? And all such debates took place in Constituent Assembly. Now, I would again come back to this, and there's a quotation, there's a statement by Radhakrishnan, the then Vice President and later President of India, that what we have to look at, and that's probably important for our साइलेंसी हो जाएंगे तब तो बड़ा दिक्कत है। This is Seth Govind Das. I do not think that any one of us can transform the India of today into the India of Rigvedic times. Govind Das, and remember, these debates are not old debates, these are contemporary debates. There's Veda which is invoked, Govind Das speaking there. We cannot take it to the Rigvedic times, speaking in Hindi. But while I hold this view, I would like to make it clear at the same time that the civilization and culture which is the heritage of our early history should not be rejected by us. We should adopt all that the modern world has to give us to fulfill our needs. Modern India should be so built up that we may be able to retain our culture and civilization. That sums up. We are, for modern India, retaining culture and civilization. There's no big thesis required over here. The roots of accommodation rest in the soil of Indian thought, Randilostian. Thought that is characterized by the lack of dogmatism. What's Spear, right? I use Percival Spear, today I learned for name. What Spear has called the absorptive and syncretic features of Hinduism, attributes that will flourish only in an undogmatic atmosphere, have become the basis of Indian, within bracket, Indian Muslim as well as Hindus. Bracket close. Approach to life. Religion is not dogmatic, wrote Radha Krishnan. It is a rational synthesis which goes on gathering into itself new conception as philosophy progresses. It is experimental and provisional in its nature. Such an attitude of open examination of all thoughts, especially self-critical, makes accommodation possible, for new ideas are not held at arm's length. So dogmatism never helps, especially in history, especially in social science humanities, it will never help because we all evolve, right? But then look at syncretism, look at hearing on different voices, and it goes into explaining how it was done, the art of selection, art of managing them together, not through compromise, but looking at things which completely is opposite to your viewpoint and accommodating them by not compromising yours. And that art, Constituent Assembly developed. That's why it has withstood the test of time. And dare anyone question that? Not because it's just a Constitution of India, because it was arrived through a rigorous process, a very, very rigorous process of critical and self-critical reflection. So here I rest my case. What stands for, if Constitution of India could be made for the entire country, based upon culture and civilization, paving the way for modern India, then we can continue the same art in our enterprises, in our pursuit. Thank you so much.
Now I would like Prabhu sir to felicitate both of our speakers. Big round of applause, guys.
Okay, so what we'd also like to do is to launch some of the merchandise which our students have devised and got produced, and if any of you want it, our students are there. But, they've done this entire work. I think kudos to our students. So they've got a beautiful, beautiful mug. Have a look. Thank you, everybody. Now we would really want you to come to the front so we can take pictures, because these are things that we really like. Okay, now we'll have it here, them here, so that you don't run away and never come back. So we want to hold you captive. Please, let's have some group pictures so that we can have this memory and historical document. 100 years of the department. Please. And we've just realized how few of them we have. Pictures. We need them. All the teachers and guests, please do come up. Please. And everybody from colleges who've joined us, all our senior teachers, I can see Radha Madhav ji and Nagendra and Meera Khare and I can't see, Charu, yeah. So please, college teachers, also you're very much part of us, so you are us. Please do come.
Rahul, Vikas, please. बीच में संघमित्र मैम को आगे करवाना
पीछे कर ले।
अभी तो हिस्ट्री की।
All the faculty members who are there, please join us.
With some
Humanities, everybody.
Everybody.
And afterwards, the students are coming to join us.
Everyone with a history.
We are not teaching staff. Please.
सर दुर्गा सर अंकिता मैम प्लीज।
कहाँ हो? शिव प्रसाद जी कहाँ है?
भैया 100 साल है, ये आ जाओ।
दुर्गा जी
आगे आ जाओ।
अपना कुबेर का खजाना रख दीजिए, आइए।
Requesting everyone to please give a big smile.
रुक जाओ मैम।
No, ma'am.
Hold our smile.
So much of history in one frame, ma'am.
हो गया?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now students.
All the students, please students volunteer.
I would,
Student volunteers.
now we will be having,
All the student volunteers are here.
now we will be having a short tea break. I would request all our esteemed speakers
All student volunteers and faculty, please, can we have a picture? Please, all the faculty members, stay here. Only those interested in tea can go out, but wait, but we want everybody to be here with our student volunteers, please, pictures. Everybody pictures.
विशाल आप बेटे को ले जाओ।
Where is
कैसे लगा? दिल्ली में आप डोंट वेयर ऑल आई डोंट नो हाउ मच जी प्लीज नोट डाउन माय नंबर फादर को खैर आप चंडीगढ़ में
Is that done?
We would be having a short tea break. I would request all our esteemed speakers, faculty and teachers to join us for a tea. I request students to be patient and first give way to our teachers.
It's a very short 10 minutes tea break, please.